Julliete walks out of that vault in episode 6 certain she just won. She talked the algorithm down, she found the loophole, she got 2 people cleared for the trip to Silo 17. And the second the door shuts behind her, the algorithm leans over to Camille and says those 2 will never reach Silo 17. I've rewound that moment more than anything else this season. First time through, I read it as a threat the machine gloating, telling Camille the trip's a lie. I don't buy that anymore. I think it's the algorithm telling us plainly how Lucas Kyle dies. And I think the person who handed it the method is Julliete. Almost every piece of this is already on screen. Nobody's just set them next to each other. So let me start with what the algorithm wants, because the show hasn't been coy about it. Camille came back from the vault with 3 names to remove Julliete, Bernard, Lukas, not watch, not contain, remove, and it's not a random 3. There are the only people left in Silo 18 who know what's really under it. Julliete walked to another silo and back. Bernard ran the place and finally learned the safeguard was real. And Lukas found the tunnel, cracked the message that proved there were more silos, and stood in front of the algorithm and spoke to it directly. If you're ranking who's dangerous, Lukas is at the top because he's the one who went down and made contact, and he was told to his face that the safeguard was aimed at him personally if he ever talked. The system has wanted him silent longer than anyone. So the target's clear. The algorithm's problem is the how, and for 3 months, it could not touch him. Everyone thought Lukas died in the rebellion. He didn't. He went into the mines, the one part of the silo the people up top can't see into, and stayed there behind 2 groups with every reason to protect him. The miners he was once sentenced to work beside, and Kennedy's outsiders, the faction in the deep levels Judicial has never broken. And watch what happened when Camille flooded those mines with gas to flush him out. Lukas walked through the smoke in a gas mask he had no business owning, carried an unconscious Julliete clear, and vanished again before anyone could reach him. Somebody warned him it was coming. Somebody handed him that mask. That's not a man on the run, that's a man with an organization. You can't reach out and delete him, and killing him down there means killing him in front of the exact people already certain the silo lies to them. That doesn't end a threat. It makes a martyr. That's the trap. The algorithm can't let Lukas die anywhere anyone can point at. It needs him gone quiet, out of sight, in a way that explains itself. For 3 months, there was no version of that available, because Lukas would not come up. Then Julliete walked in and built it for it. Here's the deal she thinks she made. She needs people in Silo 17, and permission to send them across without the safeguard firing. First, she names Knox and Shirley. The algorithm refuses them flat, too valuable to lose. So she pivots and offers Lukas and Kennedy. And this time, it agrees almost before she's finished 2 names, approved at once, none of the pushback it just gave her. Hold on to that detail. The fact that it wanted both of them out the door on the same walk is going to matter more than it looks like right now. Because watch the scene again and time it. When Julliete names 2 people the system wants kept inside the machine, it argues. When she names the 2 it's been trying to lose for months, it says yes and doesn't bother with a reason. It isn't weighing whether they can do the job, it's checking whether they're the 2 it wants outside the walls, and they are. The speed of that yes is the story. A machine weighing a real risk hesitates. A machine handed the thing it couldn't arrange for itself does not. This thing negotiates by waiting that what looks like thinking is patience, letting people talk themselves into the room it wanted them in. This is that aimed. It let Julliete run the whole conversation, refuse her first pair, and keep going until she landed on the names it wanted. Then it approved the instant she got there. She thinks she bargained a compromise. She got steered into volunteering the one man it could never catch on its own. Now look at what the trip actually does. To reach Silo 17, Lukas has to leave the mines, come up out of the one place the algorithm can't follow, walk away from the 2 groups shielding him, seal himself into a cleaning suit, and step onto open ground. Every move takes him out of a place he controls and drops him somewhere the silo owns completely. And the suit is where this stops being a theory. Cleaning was never really about the sensor, go back to season 1, and the reveal the whole show turns on, the sealing tape. Every cleaning suit goes out with heat tape supplied by it, and that tape is built to come apart in the toxic air. That's the trick. That's how the silo has quietly executed people for generations and let the outside take the blame. Julliete is only alive because Mechanical stripped off its tape and sealed her suit with their own. She didn't beat the world out there. She beat the sabotage. So the outside isn't a hazard the algorithm gambles against, it's a weapon the silo loads before anyone steps through the airlock, and it holds the tape. Now I can't prove they'll doctor Lucas's specific suit. That's the honest gap, and I'd rather name it than pretend it isn't there. But I don't need one tampered seal, because the point isn't the seal. It's that the entire trip runs on gear the silo prepares, in an environment the silo controls, worn by the top name on a kill list. This channel's dug into how the books push this, even harder than the show has the whole system built, from the start, to spend lives protecting the secret rather than protecting people. A sanctioned walk into the outside is that design in miniature. It's the execution that files its own paperwork. And if you think I'm reaching, the show already gave us this exact ending. The people who forced their way out of Silo 17 weren't found at the airlock. They were found further out, in the open, short of wherever they were clearly trying to reach. That's the template people die in the crossing, out of sight. And the story that covers it is already written into the world. Now back to that detail I told you to hold 2 names. Approved at once. Kennedy isn't along for the ride. He runs the Outsiders, the second group hiding Lukas. Send both of them out on one sanctioned walk, and the algorithm doesn't just remove the man it wants dead, it removes his protector in the same afternoon. And it finds out whether this whole trick scales past one person at a time. That's why the yes came so fast, and why it came for both. Lukas is the target, the only one who found the tunnel, spoke to the algorithm, holds almost the entire truth, and unlike Julliete and Bernard, has no job left that keeps the silo running. Kennedy is the lock that's kept the target out of reach. One deal opens both. I want to be straight about where this stops being confirmed and turns into me, because the best counter deserves better than a wave off. The fair read is that never reach Silo 17 is a prediction, not a plan. Maybe the algorithm just knows the crossing kills people and it's quoting Camille the odds. Maybe it's a real gamble and Lukas makes it, like Julliete did. If this were the only thing the show handed us, I'd stop there. What that read can't get past is Julliete herself. She crossed the same ground to the same dead silo and came home half dead in a failing suit, and the walk still wasn't the thing that nearly killed her. If the surface were a coin flip, the algorithm couldn't say never with that much weight behind it. Never isn't how you quote odds. Never is how you talk about a variable you control. And this is a machine we've watched refuse to do one single thing by accident. It does not sign off on a trip whose ending it can't already see, and it isn't deciding alone. That line to Camille isn't a prediction she happens to overhear, it's the algorithm handing its own instrument the result in advance. Camille runs it. She has the cameras, the feed from outside, and this season she's already dosed 10,000 people's water without flinching. She's exactly who you'd need to make sure a suit leaves wrong and the footage of that hill never surfaces. And here's what the season quietly established. The footage can't be trusted anyway. Julliete was logged on camera in supply at the same moment she was somewhere else entirely. She can't be in 2 places, which means the record in this world is forgeable, and whatever the cameras end up showing of Lukas's last walk is whatever it decides they show. None of this is a far-off setup, either. The trip is next. The second Lukas and Kennedy are suited, and through that airlock, they're on open ground for the better part of an afternoon. In the one stretch of this whole world no camera covers and no ally can follow. The silo has never had a cleaner window to lose 2 people in. Everything the algorithm wanted and couldn't get for 3 months, Lukas up out of the mines, off his protection. Sealed and gear it built arrives at once, the moment that door opens. And here's the part that got under my skin. The reason the deal works, the reason Julliete believes she's sending him somewhere survivable, is that she survived it. She's the one person in that silo with living proof you can walk to Silo 17 and come back, which is exactly why the algorithm let her be the one to offer it. Her survival is the bait. It made the trip look safe to the one person Lukas would trust, using the single experience that should have made her the most afraid of it. She's not underestimating the danger. She's sending him down the one road she personally walked out of, not knowing the difference between her crossing and his is that hers wasn't meant to kill her, and his is. And there's a quieter thing under it the show's been holding on purpose. Lukas and Julliete are the only 2 people alive in Silo 18 who've seen what's really out there, and the series keeps putting them in the same room without letting them talk about any of it. That silence is deliberate. This show is too careful for it to be an accident, which means it's being saved, and it's being saved while one of them just signed the other up for a walk the algorithm has already decided he won't finish. If they never get that conversation, that's not a loose thread. That's the point. So pull back, because this is bigger than one man. Before this episode, all 3 of the algorithm's threats sat somewhere it couldn't reach Lukas in the mines. Bernard in the void, Julliete surrounded by people who'd die for her. It couldn't move on any of them without being seen. In one conversation, it solved that. You don't hunt the people you can't touch. You get them to volunteer. You let one of them think a suicide errand is a clever escape, you bless the trip so it looks like mercy, and you keep the one piece that decides who comes home. And the worst of it is what Julliete taught it about herself, that when the people she loves are in danger, she'll walk into that vault and lay names on the table to buy them time. That isn't a loophole she found, it's a lever it now knows how to pull. Her name is still on that list. She may have just shown it how to walk her out there too. Let me split what's real from what's mine, because that line matters. Real, Camille was ordered to remove Julliete, Bernard, and Lukas. Real, the algorithm refused Knox and Shirley, agreed to Lukas and Kennedy, and told Camille the second Julliete left that those two will never reach Silo 17. Real, the silo's cleaning suits go out with tape built to fail, and Julliete only survived because Mechanical swapped it. Real, the Silo 17 rebels died in the open, short of where they were going. Mine is the join that the trip is the mechanism, the suit is the method, and Julliete got steered into proposing the one thing the algorithm couldn't set up itself. But this show has never once let anyone win a deal with that thing and mean it. Julliete thinks she found the way out. She found the way the algorithm gets rid of the people it can't be seen touching, and she just used it on the one man who'd have believed every word she never got to say to him.